What's the goal today?
Figure out what's what.
Figure out what's what?
I have no idea what any of this is.
So, we'll wire in the chassis first then. That's the plan.
That's the plan.
We'll dive in, rip it apart, figure out which wire does what, and if it's something we need to keep or if it's something that was for the old drivetrain, in which case it will be removed.
Here we are,
Let's
about to read a novel. When do we reach mad scientist point?
Right now, just trying to find all the modules that go to their corresponding plugs to make things a little bit easier to figure out which pigtail is for what.
I found matching wires.
I'm willing to bet that some of that, or maybe it was this one here, some of that went to your ignition switch.
No, I cut everything. Oh, this is going to be easier to take out. Cut that, cut that. It. Never going to need any of this ever again. Oh, wait.
Little did we know.
Little did I know.
As daunting as this may seem,
It is.
it is not that complex. Basically, all we're doing is we're looking at the wiring diagram. This would be for the transmission control module, which we're not using. We're looking at the pins here. It labels them which plug and which pin on each plug. This pin here, it's a blue-white wire. And we just trace that all the way to wherever it goes. This one goes to the ABS control module. He's not keeping ABS. What this would have been is a speed reference between the ABS control module and the transmission control module. The transmission is telling the ABS control module how fast the vehicle is going as a speed sensor reference. We spent a lot of time ripping out unused wires. So we found something interesting. We are wiring in a sunroof and the dome lights right here. There's a plug way over here, which we found. We traced back to the harness. Goes here. We found everything on the diagram. Followed power from that. This white-green goes to the power window and sunroof circuit breaker. So we just figured that must go to the fuse block. But no. It goes to that, which we assumed was a noise filter for something, whether it be the radio or something. But first thing we thought of is, well, why is that not just in the fuse block? Why did they make that separate? Probably did it because they're the dealer.
Dealership, yeah. Got to go in to get it replaced instead of just popping out a fuse.
Yep. Something easy that they could do, something as simple as that to make more money on parts. You can't buy that part at anywhere besides this dealership. You might be able to find it at O'Reilly's or something, but even then it's like, it's a special part.
So it's ricey to not paint it and polish it, but it's also ricey.
No, it's ricey to polish it. It's less ricey depending on the color. There was a E30 at VIR that had a 1J, crazy build, big single, and his valve covers were the same color blue as the car, and that didn't seem ricey to me.
I was looking back at videos of that thing, just warming up the tires. Just hearing the 1J sounds.
I didn't even know it was a 1J until it popped up.
Then you went to talk to him and...
Yeah. I will offer you one part Pop-Tart if you answer some questions for me.
He's
like, what kind of Pop-Tart? I'm like, you're going to find out.
It was brown sugar.
He opens it up, he's like, my favorite.
He's like, I'm starving, I haven't eaten yet. Of course, you drift. You don't eat.
Wiring is almost done, but then right away after wiring we need to do rear subframe so we can send in the dimensions to get custom drive shaft and custom CVs. And then I need to get the CTSV brakes.
Yeah.
And then those probably won't fit on these rims, so I gotta find some rims that those will fit on. All within like 2 months. Fine. You, Keith. Made a lot of progress on the wiring. Starting to relume it. I'm working on it, but making it look somewhat nice. At least we know what everything does now. This is a lot lighter than when we originally started on it. That's a pile of wire, and then there's another pile of wire over there underneath the chair that wasn't cooperating. But yeah, hopefully get to first startup this weekend. That would be really nice, just to hear it. Well, favorite pattern then. So how's that car meet going, Keith? Whoops.
Bring the heat in.
I'm done with it. I met my car. And I met the guy at AutoZone. With my car. My car. Fucking dealer. As you can see, there's a lot of stuff, and then at the end I just put the car back together because I forgot what else there was. So I figure that kind of covers the whole spectrum.
We decided to get a new gas tank after removing the fuel pump and sending units and half of the studs snapped off. We also decided that we weren't going to use the charcoal canister and would instead use a vented gas cap. This meant that I had to make caps to cover the 3 holes on top of the gas tank that originally vented fumes to the charcoal canister. I jumped in Fusion and traced the gaskets to make the covers for them. I used a simple slotting profile with tabs to cut the part out of 1/4" extrusion with a little bit of sanding to remove the tabs after machining for a completed part. So we now have fuel pump and sending units on the new tank. We have the emission stuff capped off, so I'll just run a vented gas cap. I'll get pressure in the fuel tank, do some weird things. We're going to attempt first startup today, or at least hear the engine run a little bit. Probably won't have coolant or anything in it, so it'll run for a matter of seconds. Just have to finish looming the engine harness, plug everything in, put the gas tank in the car, hook the fuel lines back up, and put a couple gallons gas in it. Should start up. And then we can see if the signals from the ECU, the Toyota ECU to the Subaru gauge cluster, work correctly. We hooked everything up, got 3 codes. One was for speed sensor, one was for starter signal, and one was for O2 sensor. We turned it over and got a fault code for ignition signal, ignition verification signal from igniter to ECU. And I checked some of the power wires, and we weren't getting full 12 volts to the igniter module. And then I checked the injectors as well, and we weren't getting full 12 volts at the injectors, but everything was getting ground. So I found out I missed one wire, put that into the fuse block, double checked power. We have power at the injectors, the igniter, everything, it's ready to go. I turned it over without the fuel pump on and checked codes again, and the ignition verification signal code went away. So I'm going to turn the fuel pump on and try again. started. The tach works. It looks like it's a little bit off. It said it was idling around like 1800 or something like that. And the vehicle speed sensor works too. Found that out. The drive shaft isn't hooked up. It's in neutral, but it was still spinning. But it said it was going like 5-10 miles an hour. So kind of skeptical on the accuracy of that, but we'll see.